and welcome to the First Tuesday Club. So the aim of the First Tuesday Club is to invite inspirational speakers to share their career journey with us, and today we are very thankful to be joined by inspirational entrepreneur Sylvia Douglas. Thank you very much for joining us today, Sylvia. So Sylvia is the owner of the social enterprise Ms. Miss Mrs. Her journey to starting the company was far from direct and was rooted in her own life experiences, and she officially started the company in July 2013. So Ms. Miss Mrs. is a social enterprise set up with a mission to empower sustainable change, and Sylvia works with women and girls of all ages, offering an educational development programme known as the Self-Esteem Tools, or the SET, to build or rebuild self-esteem and self-awareness. Sylvia also designs and sells women's empowerment pants, which if you follow us on our social media channels, you will have seen some pictures of those recently. The sales of which are then returned to the programme as well to support new beginnings. So we're very excited that she's taken some time out from her busy schedule to join us here today, and thank you for doing that. You all will get the chance to ask Sylvia your own questions shortly, but I'm just going to kick off proceedings by asking you a few of my own. So thanks again for joining us. I'm really interested to hear a little bit more about how your company actually started. I understand that you had a background in mental health work before that, but can you tell us a little bit of how your journey came to starting your own company?
Thanks, Gail, and hello everybody. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Thanks very much for asking me. So Ms. Miss Mrs. is a social enterprise. We're a community interest company and we're asset locked, which means that every piece of intellectual property, pants, programmes, hub, everything that we do is owned by the community that we serve, which is women and girls. So Ms. Miss Mrs. started, it was an idea and a concept I had for a very long time. I left school at 14, grew up in children's units, was a kind of ward of the state, had lots of social workers and lots of intervention, and I had my daughter really young, and I didn't have a formal education, and I knew that self-esteem and well-being for women and girls who had maybe travelled a really difficult journey was a real barrier to moving on and maybe going back to education. So I always knew that. And at 23 I went back and did social work and mental health and graduated and started working within that field of mental health. And I worked in care plans and community work, and I could still see the same barriers there, and we were developing care plans and for women who were coming out of institutions, and I could see that this real need for self-esteem and well-being and safe spaces to grow that and create it was really needed. So yeah, 4 years ago I jumped ship in my job and gave up my salary, and I thought, I've got this idea, I'm just going to do it, and it started with a knicker elastic in the front page of a workbook, and lots of people think that I was insane.
So did the empowerment pants come first, or what came first in your business idea?
So the workshops, the workbooks, the things that we do came first, because that was where the passion came from for starting the social enterprise. But I knew in times of grants, and because it's grants and funding, and it's really, really difficult to secure that. And I always had a bit of I was really resourceful when I was younger. My first thing I ever sold was cigarettes. It's not really advocated. But I realised that if I sold 10, I made money and it could buy other things. And I was a child when I was doing that. And I always kind of was resourceful and I always thought about ideas. And it was Christmas Eve and I'm sitting going, what would be a really great present to gift to somebody? And I thought, there's Batman, there's Spider-Man. It's like, well, women's empowerment pants. And it just kind of was a bit of a gift. And that's how it started. And I didn't know what it looked like, or and I was not any pants, or but it was something that was given, and I thought, that's what I'm going to do.
Excellent. So you've been set up for about 4 years now. What's a kind of typical week like for is there a typical week? What sort of things are you doing regularly with your business?
So we're starting to now gather traction in a typical week, whereas before a typical week was really a bit of everything. I would do absolutely everything, and but strategically I had to look at growing the business so that I could incorporate a board, because I don't know how much you guys know. So for a social enterprise, we're really resource limited, and all finances go back into our social impact, which is for women and girls. So I had to, employing staff was something that was a bit of a luxury, and something we didn't always have funds to do. So we took social investment, so we took investment so that we could grow the business, and we've now got a hub in the north of Glasgow that makes it easier for a typical week to happen. And so a typical week can be, a Monday's a really, I'm saying Monday, it could be Saturday, it could be Sunday. So we have schools programmes running, and they get set as accredited in education, so we're in there working with young girls on a Monday and a Tuesday, and I deliver that. We have a Friday, we have referrals from social work and criminal justice, and we run community projects on a Friday, and then in between that I've got finances, and I've got cash flow, and I've got setting up meetings, and I've got pant sales and packaging and toilet cleaning, and so we kind of like, it just varies. It can be a bit of absolutely everything, so I can be operational and strategic, and it kind of just merges and mixes. And I've got a board, and they're operational at the moment, and they really help. So and I've got amazing volunteers, so my week's getting more structured.
With this kind of busy life as a business owner, how do you manage to maintain a work-life balance, or do you?
Well, I mean, one of the things we advocate is about self-care and well-being, and to be really honest with you, at the beginning, no. I mean, like, I think it's so important for mental health and self-care. But I really never was doing a lot of that at the beginning. But I've kind of got back into a format of going for a run, or we're right across from Ruckhill Park, so I can go for a walk there, and I see friends. But I think it's important. It's what keeps me well within the business, is to make sure that if I'm taking care of myself, my staff team benefit, the organisation benefits, and it keeps it healthy and well and robust.
Excellent. So what would you say is the best thing about running your own social enterprise? What's the most enjoyable aspect of it for you?
God, there's so many things. I think for me it's like 95% of the business is the business plan and the sales and the conversation and the meeting, but the best part, honestly, is the 5% when we're running workshops, and we can see a young woman or a woman completely transform her journey and her life, and that's the best part of running it. So all the kind of day-to-day is ultimately to get to that, where we've got a busy hub, and women and gals are coming and going, and we can see that them blossoming and going back to college, and and education, or lots of different things, at lots of different levels for women. But so the workshops are probably the best part.
Fantastic. What about kind of the other side of it then? I'm sure there's some challenges that you've met along the way. What are the kind of challenges you've faced running your own kind of social enterprise?
Well, really at the start, so definitely like the start was me, and trying to convince people that to invest in it, that it's going to have traction, that it's going to have impact, and that it's a business. So that was one of the challenges, and that continues to kind of, echo through it. And even so, last year we took £100,000 investment, and but that took 3 years of proving the concept. So really little resources, and trying to manage that, and resourcefulness, and so that's challenging sometimes. And because we are such a small team, if someone's unavailable to do something, it just makes it, it magnifies how much more needs to be done. So investment, money, growth, the kind of normal, and marrying that business aspect with a social aspect is really challenging, because the 95% of income and selling, and to get to the really great part of the 5% of running our workshops, can be a real, because your mindset shifts. You become business, and then you become someone who's in there delivering, to make change. So it changes.
Thank you. For students who are perhaps interested in starting their own social enterprise, what do you think are the key success factors to becoming a social entrepreneur and making a positive change?
I think definitely passion. I think if you've got an idea for some sort of change, then I think that's one of the driving force, because that's the thing that will see you through when you're sitting with 200 quid in the bank, or amount of emails, or meetings that you've got to have, or things like that. So it's the drive that's the most important thing. If that will sustain, and there's lots of great things happening. It's not so much of a sector, I think, social enterprise. I think it's more of a movement. I think there's some really amazing things happening, and you see much more innovation and to create change for social justice, or women and girls, or criminal justice, or lots of different things like that. And having a really sound knowledge in academia and business and is a real gift and a real strength. So if you can marry that social desire for change, where you can see something in that kind of that business element, it's a real gift. You could definitely call us.
Excellent. I've got one final question I'm going to hand over to the students for them to ask some questions. So your company helps women to build self-esteem, and as a careers advisor, we often see students applying for jobs, etc., who perhaps lack self-esteem. Do you have any advice for those students on how they can kind of work to build their self-esteem?
We had this conversation yesterday, and I think self-esteem is I think everybody, in some degree, and imposter syndrome is one of those things, it's like, and I often get it, and I can be in Scottish Government and have meetings, and I can be sitting going, why are they asking me my opinion? But I think action is the only thing that changes that, and sometimes it's that kind of fake it till you make it. I think you only grow in confidence. Like, I know when I started the social enterprise, I was teaching empowerment and confidence, and I had very little in the business world myself, and it only got better the more I did it. And applying for jobs, it's knowing that you have got something really valuable to offer, and then keep on keeping on, because that's how it builds and grows. And imposter syndrome and all that I think it's part of the journey, but it's just keeping on, I think, is really important, and making mistakes and learning and going home at night and going, what am I doing? I don't have a clue, and just keep on, because that's what will ultimately change it.
Excellent, very good advice, thank you. I'm going to pass over to the audience just now to see if anyone wants to kick us off with a question. You there yet?
Hi. As a business owner, you have a passion for a particular thing, but through your journey, you realize that there are things that your business needs in order to grow. And to reach out to the bigger corporate world for those things, or to big banks, is difficult. So through your journey, did you feel like, oh, I wish there was a social enterprise that provided these kind of services to me and people like me whose passion are something else, but need these kinds of services?
Yeah, I've been really fortunate. I was a student on the School for Social Entrepreneurs, which is very much like that in the 13-14 cohort, and there is some amazing organisations that offer funding for startups, covering salary to get you started, and there's some incredible mentorship programmes that match, and I've seen a rise in that over the last 2 or 3 years since the movement and the sector has become a lot stronger. But you're right, it's ultimately having the dynamics of business, academia, and and people who are really versed in their own talents and gifts and degrees, and so that we can progress the business to move on. But yeah, I mean, it's because I have no business background, and I've had to pretty much learn, and it's because of the good nature of other students or other people that have kind of supported that. But yeah, it's that kind of support is ultimately so important to go to.
Anyone? Yep.
What exactly is the difference between a business and a social enterprise?
Good question.
Or not, like, yeah, and a charity as well, I guess.
Yeah, so a charity, they can have trading arms attached to it, but so one of the things that I looked at when I set up Ms. Mrs. was, would we become a charity, a community interest company, a social enterprise, or we looked at all the different legal structures. And there's articles of associations that you would then explore to see what matches your social aims.
Okay.
So there's, so constitutions and community interest companies and charities are different regulators, and the outcomes are different. But for us, we can trade and sell and reinvest the profits. So what's different between a business and a social enterprise is that 100% of our profits is reinvested in our social impact.
Oh, okay.
So all pants, all workshops, all training, everything that we sell externally funds, we've got a community hub, funds that help staff, different things like that.
Okay, and that's slightly different from how a charity functions.
Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, it's different, and more charities are moving towards having a social enterprise arm because grants are really, and public generosity is pretty
Yeah.
thin. So it's about finding really innovative ways to create money to bring it into the business.
Right, so it's kind of like a self-sustaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the time it's developing services and products that you can sell within a regional level or a UK level, or so it's constantly looking for ways to income generate.
Okay. Oh, thanks.
Fantastic.
Hi.
I was wondering, so in my experience, if you work in, the idea of having a social impact, very often your, the values that are behind that are not necessarily something that is easy to explain. They're often vague and linked to morals and emotions, and I have experienced that it's difficult to be taken seriously sometimes if you speak in that language. If you are applying for funds with someone across the table who doesn't necessarily speak that language or is familiar with it, how did you navigate that?
So how do you navigate? I think it's about the sector and the kind of movement that's happening in Scotland and Scottish Government and the way that social enterprise has been noted. It's publicly raising more awareness, so more and more people are actually looking at it as a really viable idea. So that is shifting, definitely shifting. And I think, how would you navigate that? I totally sympathise with you when I'm going to say, now I run workshops, it's about self-care and leadership and empowerment and well-being, but it's for women who have gone through really difficult. How can you quantify that? How can you research that? How can you, and it takes time. But the thing is as well, it's the whole, for me it was about keeping on, because people will say, what is that? I mean, people say to me, are you a charity? And it's like, well, no, we're a business. You buy a product and then what we do with that is something else. But yes, but social impact is becoming more recognisable, like the Social Value Lab, and looking at how that can be quantified, and you can't measure it. It's a different language. It's like in a business with heart, and and people sometimes don't quite get that concept, but it's keeping on saying because it does shift.
Do you feel that the idea of being a social enterprise, so a business, helps you enter that world as opposed to, for example, being a charity or working as a volunteer somewhere? So does it give you an entrance to a world where people tend to not take people in the charity sector seriously?
Sorry, what was the question?
So do you think that you being a business helps you enter, like that the format helps you enter in places for example, funding, where normally if you come in with an idea about certain social values that people just don't take you seriously?
Yeah, I think because we do have that element, but we didn't always have that element. We were in, it was, we started the first workshop with 2 women, and I went home and somebody I had £500 to pilot it, and people were saying, oh, go away and test the concept. And so yeah, it was very much like that for me at the beginning as well. And it's some people don't take us seriously. We play in a very big field. We're actually specialising and offering something that has massive social impact, but bigger organisations that are generic and we are funded, I need to be careful what I'm saying, who are invited to the table with budgets, don't take us seriously, but yet we get prescriptions from GPs and criminal justice, but it's a very much like, you're a community group and go away and do your thing, and not looking at the, we're actually in the arena, we're actually making social impact, we are creating change. Can we come to the meeting and include us in your budget? So we're pushing that. So I think we've all just got to keep pushing it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got 2 questions actually. First of all, for back in 2013, for Sylvia and the other person, you said that you started a business with 2 persons, or only maybe yourself. What was the most overwhelming part in starting a business for you back in 2013? I mean, you talk about, you had to learn about finance, you had to learn about business and all these, policies and things together. So how did you manage to, to put that plan, that massive plan, and start the business? What was the most difficult part for you This is the one, and the two. What's on your agenda? Okay, for the next. What's on your list for next? Are you going to play in the, we call it in business, is the blue ocean arena, that's something niche, 100% without, or we are going to play in the red ocean arena, which is basically you have to compete with other businesses so that you can grow your business. Which part you are going to focus most on, I mean, the future?
Yeah, they're two really good questions. I think probably to answer the first question, there was quite a lot of challenges in setting up because I didn't know about finances, but what I did was I asked for board members who had those skills and those abilities, who had shared the same social values as we and understood that what we were trying to create. So we'd kind of, but I attended lots of workshops on business planning, cash flow, and I would just be like this. And my business plan was it's a back of cigarette paper. It's like, this is exactly what I want to do. And then now we've got like a 20-page business plan, that comes out occasionally. But yeah, so it was courses and, the Leadership Academy. And so I had to go and build my own kind of skills and knowledge, and, because it's great having the passion to do the work, but it's like the real, what it really matters in terms of cash flow and projections and business plans, and and was something I had to learn. So they were challenges, and that was a confidence thing, because I would be like, it's so difficult. It was so difficult. But yeah, so I still don't know a lot about business, but it's just I learn as I go, and books and things like that. So the second question was around like growth. So we're really in the middle right now. We've got plans for next year, and we're talking to London, and we're talking about replicating the model, and looking at how we can replicate it, where we can replicate it, and also as well we've got a 72-page workbook that's accredited. So we've got other organisations that are looking to be trained in that, so that they can bolt it on. So that'll be an income stream, and we're talking to someone in Belfast, and so next year it's about the plan, and we'll employ 5 18 to 24-year-olds to deliver within the school, and then that'll free us up to do. So it's about the ethos for us is all of it, whether it's somebody who comes in and helps us clean the place and tidy up, they share the values, all the way up to the people that we employ and the people we do business with at the end of the phone, how we buy the stationery, everything like that. So there's a whole, all of the whole ecosystem is really important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just have a question about your team and about the volunteers. How much you can depend on them and rely on them if they're not being paid a salary, and how you can organise that so they can commit as much as they can with their other work.
So with volunteers, we're really, really flexible. The volunteers that help us at the project are women who have gone through the programme. So they're all women who have gone through the programme, and they come in and help to organise for the next groups, or they'll open up or they'll pack pants, or they'll post, and they'll start to learn what we're doing. And it's about bringing them on in their journey as well, and we're very flexible. We realise that life takes over, and they've got families and responsibilities, and sometimes things come up, and we're very grateful, and we take really good care of people that come and support us, because it's freely given. That time is freely given. And we have social events, and we do, in our hub, at the community hub, we do free yoga and meditation, and we offer that to the volunteers. So when it just keeps on building for their care plans and well-being, and so we keep on offering that availability, and they love coming back and being part of. So we take really good care of people, and our paid staff are, there's 3 of us, and there's operations manager who supports, and so yeah, it's really inclusive. We've created the space to be really inclusive, and people's opinion matters, and it's just like we're all in it together. It's kind of like, we're moving together, and that's important to us, that we keep that ethos. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. We'll go over here. Just yeah.
So when you were developing the self-esteem training, was that, I guess there's like 2 parts to this. First of all, how did you develop it? And secondly, how did you kind of convince other people that it was like valuable training to get like you know, GPs and criminal justice system to think it was like good to recommend people to go there?
Yeah, so for both those questions, they're really good. Both those questions, time was one of the things that really, you know, it was, things took such a long time. For the workbook and development, it was, we've worked with about 380 women and girls.
Okay.
So we have developed that through a formula that works, and learning and what works and what doesn't work. So it's been over time, and we took some investment so that we could package that properly. So we pitched and we were given investment to package that. So we'd done that. And so it was time, and secondly, it was about impact. People needed to see that we were actually creating value. So we would have women self-refer and come, and then they'd go back and say to their GPs, this is what's happened, this is what's going on for us. And then it became a community of ambassadors almost.
Yeah.
And then now we get phone calls, go, yeah, that's, and the same with investment for the space. So we created a space so that people knew where to physically get us as well. So that creates a, you know, a community. And so time on both of them, and keeping on, and, you know, showing that something works, because people need to see, and especially it was back to what you said about the woolly, lovely sector, that there's real value in it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. What have you learned about yourself in the process of growing your social enterprise?
Oh, brilliant! Thank you. A lot. Probably that I'm more intelligent than I thought I was, and I'm more resourceful than I ever gave myself credit for. And it's amazing sometimes that I stand back and I go into the space and I look at it and I think, God, we've created this. This is amazing. But that's been a journey of the fear of failure, fear of success, you know, fear of messing up, fear of getting it wrong, making mistakes. So probably that, you know, I'm just probably the biggest thing is I'm more resilient than I actually thought I was. And you need to be. It helps. That and coffee, lots of coffee.
Good piece of advice. Any other questions? Up at the back there.
I just wondered, obviously you came from kind of government funded services as a social worker, and was part of the kind of frustration in terms of, I guess we talked about maybe GPs or whoever might, you need to get them on board, and there's only so much funding for things like self-care, for meditation, for yoga and that kind of thing. Is that something that you felt you had to, was it that kind of one of the reasons that drove you to come up with something different that would provide that service that isn't necessarily going to be available through?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing, if we've got some money, we can go and access self-help, or, you know, but for a lot of women, and like myself, when I utilised services, there wasn't that availability. And yeah, I thought it was so important because it's the inside, you know, and when someone's dealing with, when a woman is dealing with, you know, historical issues, and it's this thing about leadership. It's like people talk about leadership, and I meet women every day who lead in their own lives every day and don't see it. And that is, I think, should be prescribed, you know, somewhere that you can have, you know, look at self-esteem, healthy boundaries, relationships, needs and wants, self-care. You know, these are really important, and there are bolt-ons with yoga, meditation and things like that. I think it's so important because it's the time to really take care of who you are, because, you know, that's where the investment. So yeah, I would be completely, I had vision that at the beginning I said it would be great when GPs are writing prescriptions to our service, and now we get phone calls and say, can we refer to your service? And yeah, so I think it's fundamentally important, because inside is where everything happens. And if there's, you know, fear and anxiety and depression, and it's really easy to get a pill. I'm not saying that people don't need it, but alternative services that fit really nicely, so that you can build skills that are going to, and resilience and what works for you, so that you can, you know, we're going 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years down the line, you've still got those tools.
Not to simplify the services that you provide, but it's almost like you're providing like a mentor program for women in regards to supporting them through their own journeys. But in your own career, have you had a mentor? Have you been able to kind of lean on the support of someone else in business or in your social enterprise, or have you had any, have you had that kind of support in your own career journey?
So I have been really fortunate that I've met quite a few people on the road. It's a really lonely journey sometimes when you're looking after an organisation and staff, and so I've been really lucky. I am a massive advocate of speaking what's going on for you, because at the detriment of my business and my well-being, I need to. So I've got loads of different people that I go to. So there's some people I go when I need a bit of humour and a bit of laughter, and there's other people in the sector that I'll go to and they'll say, oh, I know balancing the cash flow is a nightmare. And see that identification, it just changes everything for me, because I don't feel like I'm on my own. It's a bit like what we do in our social enterprise, so it's connection. But yeah, and it's business, I'll go to somebody, I'll speak to them. I've been really lucky. I've got great champions of our project. So I've got other women who are further down in the journey, who are business women, who'll come and say, is there anything we can do? And I'll go, I'm having a nervous breakdown. How do you deal with that? I go to different people for different things.
So it's like a network of people.
Yeah. And especially when there's a commonality of people that can understand sometimes the day-to-day challenges, and just having that, an identification is just incredible. It just breaks down so many barriers, and you think, right, I'm ready to go on again. But yeah, so really lucky. And I've just met a new mentor who is a intellectual property lawyer, who's been incredible, because we've around intellectual property and safeguarding, and so that's been great for that. But she doesn't want to hear my emotional stuff. So it's like, just come to me with that, but with anything else, go somewhere else, which is great. Yeah. I like boundaries.
Yeah. Can I just follow on from that and ask you, how did you meet a lot of these people? You said you've been very lucky, and how do you maintain that network as well? So if somebody else wanted to kind of start a network, what sort of advice would you give them?
So there's lots of, if you explore, Glasgow has a really great, it's called GSEN, it's the Glasgow Social Enterprise Network, and there's other organisations like the Social Enterprise Academy, there's First Port, there's the School for Social Entrepreneurs, there's lots of really amazing people out there doing some great things. If you Google them, you'll be able to check them out, and it's through those networks that I've been really fortunate enough to find. And the School for Social Entrepreneurs, especially when it was peer-to-peer, it was 15 of us all setting up social enterprises with not a lot of business skills, so they supported us through that, and we've developed friendships and people that are championing what we're doing. We've met, and how do we maintain that? Relationships, completely key, and we folk come and visit, and we'll tell them what we're doing in the hub, and we'll let them read evaluation sheets or see some pictures of the girls getting their certificates and things like that, and it kind of keeps that connection with what's actually happening. So relationships, continually building that. But the social enterprise sector or movement is becoming really strong in Scotland, like really strong. It's a really great time to be involved.
Why do you think that is? A little bit, the social enterprises have been around for quite a long time, although the last couple of years, I guess, the name social enterprise has been more well known to people. So why do you think the rise of social enterprise has come at this time?
I think there's a few things. I think it's the same thing about time. So they've been the social enterprise, or the social enterprise Scotland, are policy bodies. They lobby with Scottish Government and the networks to change a lot of what's happening and bring the sector much more into the foreground. And that's been a 10-year strategy, and only in the last few years has it been that people have started to take it seriously. But I think it's that thing about time and filtering it through and key messages that come out. Secondly, I think austerity hits and grant hits, and I think there's a change in health and legal services and universal credit, and a community empowerment bill was passed, which allows community groups and social enterprises to take ownership of buildings and run their enterprises from it. And Scottish Government have injected money to support the entrepreneur who's looking to start a social enterprise. So I think policy, I think changes with austerity and, you know, any cuts and welfare and lots of different things like that, that people are coming up with innovative ways to offer services and products at a community and a regional level.
Fantastic, thank you. Yes.
You speak about the development of social enterprise in Scotland. Do you know if a similar development is taking place otherwise in the UK or in other European countries? Is this coming up in other places as well?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I can only talk for the UK. I know some social enterprises in Poland and Threads to Freedom, and we talk to them because of our fabrics and different things like that. But UK is really strong. The Social Enterprise UK network, if you Google them, it shows you lots of products and services that are becoming more and more available, but it's really strong. And I was down at the British Council on the panel for women and girls and women entrepreneurs last week, and they published this really amazing paper, and they were saying that it's becoming a really strong force. And I met loads of other females and folks setting up social enterprises down south, and it's a growing sector or movement. That it's happening more, and the visibility is more and more. So, but yeah, UK I think is really, really strong. What have we got? We've got toilet paper. We've got loads of. You know, your product does not have to be aligned with what your social impact is. Stationery or things like that. So people are coming up with really innovative ways to fund work that should be happening anyway.
Do you see a role of people like you in mentoring young men, 16 to 18-year-olds, alongside women so that they can learn about equality at the workplace and how to behave appropriately within the workspace with the members of the opposite sex?
Yeah, I mean, we do get asked that question quite a lot because we are Ms, Miss and Mrs. and but we do and have looked at that, and we have done some work with females and young men and brought them together and had conversations. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think the thing is, there is challenges for everybody, and about our role about mentoring young men. If I had more time, yeah, but I am so busy in the project, and I know that a lot of the women we work with have lots of great conversations with our boys, and so thank you.
What does a typical day at work for you look like if such a day exists?
Okay, so I wake up at 5, I answer my emails before I leave the house. Normally time I in a bun, 3 coffees. And I get myself focused for the day ahead. I don't have 3 coffees if I've got a workshop. That's not a good look. I'll go into the office, and then my operations, Louise will come in, and we'll talk about the week ahead, and we'll make a plan, and then I'll answer emails and phone calls, and I'll maybe do some development or run a workshop. But our space is normally quite busy. There's folk coming in and out, and so we really don't have. I don't have a typical day, but I normally I get up at 5 and do my emails and all the really important stuff, because I want to be present when I go into the space, so that if we get a phone call or somebody comes in, I'm there in the room, rather than worrying about, I've not sent that, I've not sent this, and I've not sent that. So it's kind of making sure mentally my space is clean before I go in.
Very busy. Excellent. Questions? Can you tell me a little bit about that then? Like, how did your expectation meet the reality of starting a business? So, with what you were thinking when you were kind of starting it up, meeting actually what day-to-day life is actually like starting your business, does it match, or was there surprises with it?
Oh no, it doesn't match at all. I had this vision of a tiny, running a workshop in my local community every now and again, and I had absolutely expectations. Not a good thing, because there's low serenity. There's no peace if you've got high expectations. It's not. So I never really envisioned where it would go, and I suppose as well I underestimated the response on the pants and what we were trying to achieve and the support that we would get. So no, not completely different, the reality and the expectation. And also I never had a business background. So I wanted to be I wanted to do good stuff, and then I had all this other stuff to do. So it kind of was like I never planned for all the other stuff. I just thought, I'll just spend all the time running workshops and doing this and helping women and girls, but no, it's like 95% of the business stuff, so I can get to the 5%. That's my carrot now. It's like just do it. So yeah, but no, it's completely parallel universes.
Any other questions?
How do you make sure you don't get sidetracked? Because I imagine a lot of things come your way and a lot of opportunities that might take a lot of your time away from what you actually want to achieve or want to do. How do you make sure that you don't get, I mean, in my experience, I always get carried away and anxious about all the things come in my way instead of, sitting down and thinking, does this help my goal? So how do you make sure that you choose between what you take and what you don't take, and how that builds your
time? It's like the same thing. Because at the first few years, I took every opportunity that I could take, everything. I spoke to everybody and went everywhere and just said, yeah, just all the time. And now, because we're busier, so I need to be much more focused on what I say no to. And I don't like, we get emails a lot and I have to be really disciplined and say I'm really sorry, but I can't do that. Now I've got Louise, really helpful. I can get Louise to say no. And I don't have to say it, which is great, so I'm really pleased about that. So get yourself a Louise, it's great. But yeah, so at the beginning I said yes to everything, and I'm glad I did, because I met amazing people and I got opportunities to talk about social enterprise and learn from people as well about what they were doing. And so yeah, but now much more focused on prioritising. But at the beginning, in the first few years of startup, yeah, if you've got availability, then say yes to everything.
What advice would you give someone that's maybe in a current career but wants to make a change and they're scared about making that jump?
Yeah, that is so normal. I had a really good job. It's like, but I see if it keeps coming up. I don't think it goes anywhere. And I think there's steps. I had to take steps. There's about calculated risk and about maybe talking to lots of people. If it's you or a friend that's thinking about doing it, asking for a friend, then go talk about your idea to people like First Pour or other social enterprise bodies, and just gauge where it is and maybe do a bit more research and just, look at your business plan, one page. So explore lots of different options and what it looks like, and then you'll know when the time is right. When you've got all the information, you can make a full decision then. But yeah, it never goes away. If you know that you want to jump, it's just like you're like, I want to go and change career or move on. I don't think it ever goes anywhere. And if pushing it down and moving it aside, it just pops itself up somewhere else. So loads of investigation. Then make a full decision. Then do it. Do it. Just do it.
Any other questions? Can I ask you then about, you obviously went and chose the topic self-esteem to work with. There's lots of issues out there for women and girls. How did you settle on self-esteem? How did you kind of go to that kind of that topic rather than anything else that you were seeing or working with?
Yeah, I think it's a real springboard. Mm-hmm. I think self-esteem is one of the biggest barriers for young women and women to believe that they can achieve or go on or do or have a healthy relationship or ask for what they need, or so I seen that as the foundation to lots of, and I know for myself it was the foundation. Mm-hmm. Having grown up in children's units, and I seen that my own barriers, mm-hmm. and I thought, well, if I had a bit more of this and I could invest in a bit more of self-esteem, and it would grow, and that's exactly what happened. And I know that I speak to loads of young girls who don't believe, it's about the external look, and it's not about the thought processes, mm-hmm. or shining. Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing. So I think that was it was the area I wanted to be in, because I just, we talk about leadership, and there's a whole section of young women and women who think that that's a suit, or you know, it's a particular look, when actually it's about, you know, confidence and self-esteem, and trying, and whatever that is, for them to find their path. So I believe it's the foundation for absolutely everything, and that's why.
I read the other day that it's sometimes harder for women to get investment than men. Do you agree with that statement? Or I haven't experienced it, so I couldn't say.
Well, I think it's the same for me. It's not been my experience. We've had lots of really great champions. I know that there's lots of great papers on the gender lens, and I know that there's a lot of inequality in finances and investment, and it does exist, absolutely. That investment is sometimes not, and I think that's the thing as well. It's like, but more and more business women are seeking more and more investment, and I think it's about the confidence to go and believe that, you know, listen, you know, I've got something really worth investing in. 3 of my investors are males who really bought into the concept and the idea. But yeah, there is high inequality, and there's a lot of.
And with that investment, I think you said that, was it 3 years for 100,000?
3 years for 100,000.
What do you think the biggest push to get that investment? Do you think it was, we have done this over 10 years, or what do you think made the investors say, okay, yes, I'm going to give them the money?
Well, I think the fact, because we're a business, but can I just say that 100,000 was actually 50 and matched 50, so it's 50,000 to repay and 50,000 of a match. That's a grant.
Oh, okay.
So if I seek 50,000 investment, I get 50,000 grant. So it was because we had products and services, and also as well, there's a new thing come out by HMRC, and it's called Social Investment Tax Relief. So it gives an investor the incentive to lock their money with a social enterprise for a period of time, because they won't get dividends from us because we're a completely asset locked. We have no shares. But what they'll get is, for 3 years, they'll get a return on the money from HMRC that they gave us, and we'll pay a percentage each year of 3%.
You don't have to pay more, you just pay the exact amount.
And 3% on top of it.
Okay.
So this year, so we would pay £1,400 or £700 in interest. So yeah, we would only pay the interest for the first 3 years, which will allow us to grow the business, increase social impact, and you know, so they were buying in for social impact as well as the return. So there was incentives, and HMRC have, again, social enterprise. The sector is kind of moving, and HMRC has looked at it that to invest, there's dividends for investors, high growth investors. So they're interested in looking at, you know, social enterprises that have a business model and sellable, and they'll get, ultimately they want their money back. But we took £25,000 loan when we first started the business, and we've just about to pay that back. So it's kind of like we've paid over 3 years or 4 years, we've paid that back.
I'm thinking with these corporate companies, they have to meet this X. Like Tesco's have to sell so many 100,000 products before they can buy another one or something like that. So the output is like very carefully measured. How do you have that careful measurement for you? Like, I don't know the right terms to use, but if you know what I mean, so you can say this year we did this much, and next year we did this. So to show that progress in numbers, like hardcore, because for these investors, I think that's what they want to see.
So how do you make it tangible?
Exactly, like so the doctors can see the patient and have this like fantastic communication. But if you're not talking about
like KPIs, like KPIs.
Yeah.
So my board have sent me, which I didn't even know what that meant, have sent me KPIs. So it's about growth in the business, and without suffering the business. So but my sales records will show that. So it's about, and it never actually works out the way you think. You think I'm going to get £5,000 of sales at Christmas, and I might get 3. So it's a guesstimation, and it can always be. It's not, for me anyway. It's the exact science, and we are resource limited. So I need to have a salesperson, which I don't have. So I can only forecast what I have time to do. in that sense. But we're really fortunate because Christmas is a really busy time for us, and it's allowed us. But yeah, so we have management accounts. So they see our management accounts. We have a forensic accountant on the board. So he does we have a community, we have to submit a KIC report, which is of our social impact, and we have to management accounts that show our expenditure and our growth and our sales targets and our figures and different things like that. It's a bit of a jumbling thing. I mean, you wouldn't, but yeah, so they get to see it.
So does that mean that to get you sell, when you say you sell a product, are they having to pay for the training, or they pay for the pants? Like, is that the income?
So we've got a few income streams now. So we've got a hub. So we've got a physical space in the north of Glasgow. We run free workshops in them for women. We've got workshops running until March. So we've got a blended model of some grant and some finance. So we hire that space out. So it's an income stream when it's not being used. The pants sell, it's an income stream. Our programmes, we have a young girls workbook, we sell that as a pack, empowerment pack. Then we have training for other organisations, and our 72-page workbook is ASDAN accredited. So Glasgow City Council or people that will buy, or education or Scottish Government will buy for that to be delivered. So it's a mixed, we do market stalls for pants and we do sell. So we've got 3 or 4 strands of income generation coming in. That's hard to manage sometimes, but it's getting, but it's all the same ethos and it's all in the same space.
That's amazing.
So yeah.
Because the people in need, they don't have to fork out to get them.
No pain at all, nothing at all. An 8-week programme is yoga, meditation, self-esteem, well-being, boundaries, a community, lunch, transport, nothing, absolutely. But we know how many women we can work with. And the lotto's been incredible for us as well. So the blended finance, we got money from them, and so it's it's really good. It's really good.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Question?
Just on the point about how many people you can take, are you oversubscribed then in terms of the women that
We're getting we're getting so busy. We get women who are self-referring, which is incredible, and our rate is 100% continual. But yeah, so we're full till March, and we're just about to release the next dates, and we'll let GPs know and things like that when that is, and they phone us as soon as the spaces come up, or the alliance workers, but yeah, we're getting busier and busier and busier. We're fine though for cash flow, and we can do that, like I say, because we're the lottery. We've got people in funds and selling products. We're in a really healthy position at the moment, which will allow us to grow the business more.
You just don't want to get to the point where you're having to turn loads of people away? Or?
No, we've got a plan for that. If that happens, we've got a plan, and we're looking to train other people who can do this work in other places so that we can free that up.
Do you have a question, the black?
That was what I was going to ask. Like if you really are getting a lot of people wanting to use the service, like what would you do if you were not having enough space, but then you said that you've got a plan?
Got a plan. It might not look like that. It's a plan. It might change, but it's the fact that we're open. I kind of know that, and I've actually got someone who shadows a lot of the work, and they can go somewhere else, and we've got other staff trained, social workers, teachers who are looking to be trained in delivering this within their area. So it means that we can have more impact and other people doing it. So yeah, we've got plans, but we'll baby steps, and it might look different.
Actually, do you want to?
Yeah, actually, I've got questions, kind of a strategic question, speaking of the future plans. I mean, we understand that time management, lack of time and lack of business expertise. It is usually the biggest obstacles for any, especially for you with no business background. So, in case that you have partnership with someone who's business oriented, with the time management skill, all the stuff. So, would you diversify your business? I mean, including the instead of female-based business, I would consider, the male-based business, and I diversify my business, and I don't have to work on this side only, I can include the guys as well, and
would you diversify is the
question. My business?
Yeah, no.
Have done something.
No, and it's not because we wouldn't want to, but we would diversify our products more. than actually, because I know this, I'm a woman and I know this field, so I wouldn't have expertise in that, and I can feel that I've got expertise in the field that I'm working in.
That's why I said about
yeah, no, completely. Like a Mr. We've talked about that too, and but yeah, so it's something that somebody else has approached us with. But at the moment, it's about managing what we've got, and you know, and doing something really well, and knowing when it's working really well just now. And yeah, partnerships, we've got lots of them, and to diversify and change it, I'm always open.
Excellent.
But it's just further down the line, not at the moment.
We're almost out of time, so I'm just going to finish with one final question then. How do you feel that we empower the next generation to start more social enterprises and get involved in social enterprise?
Oh. Anybody else want to answer that?
How do we encourage others to get involved in social enterprise? What's the biggest draw to it?
Well, the biggest draw is that you get to see, well, for us, you get to see real change on a daily basis, which is part of the motivation. But I think lots of people have really great ideas about change and coming at it a completely different way. I mean, things are changing, completely different generation. We were talking to two young people, 22 and 25, who had this amazing idea, and it's just social justice, and there's a shift in mindset. So I think probably, how would I encourage more folks to, I don't know, I'll leave that to the agencies. They do some really great stuff. But probably, yeah, just, you know, if you've got lead with your heart, I think definitely that's what I would say. And if you've got this real burning passion for change, then act on it. It can become your business.
Fantastic. So can we just thank you very much for joining us. It's been a really insightful and great afternoon. So thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us.
Cheers. Thank you.